Hey, girl.
Hey, girl.
I'm Carmen.
And I'm Tyler Janae.
This is the Friendly Black Girls podcast, and we are the Friendly Black Girls. And we are here with our amazing guest, Samantha Liberal. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, friend.
Hey, friend.
Hey, friend.
Now, did I pronounce your last name right?
Yes, Samantha Liberal.
Okay, awesome. Well, welcome to the Friendly Black Girls podcast.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, so we've worked with you in the past.
Mhm.
We hosted an event with you virtually, and it was
Yes.
amazing. And you
Yes.
did some special customized content for our members, which was awesome. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how did you get into this work that you do?
Okay, well, first and foremost, my name is Samantha D. Liberal. I'm the friendship enthusiast, your friendship coach. I actually am from Miami, Florida, actually born in Nassau, Bahamas. But I started Pure Friendships out of just random pain. I was going through a breakup with a boyfriend, and it had nothing to do with friendship, but this is something that God had kind of like put on my heart about 2 years before, but I had kind of just kept doing my own thing. And then I got through the breakup, and I woke up one day, I was like, you know what? Instead of focusing on a man, let me focus on my purpose. And so I've always been the social butterfly. I've always been the girl that had a whole bunch of friends. It's always like, Sam, there she go making another friend again.
That's
Who's
me.
that?
Me too.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so my friends was like always like, okay. So I realized it was just my gift. I have a passion and love for having friends. And so, God was like, I just want you to talk about this, because what God showed me was that this was going to be a major topic for years to come. And that's literally what happened. This was about 5 years ago, back in 2018. And as we see now, we are doing this thing. We're talking about friendships because it's something that we need, especially in the Black girl community. Like, we need each other. And so I'm just fortunate that I can be a part of it and just share spaces like this with wonderful women like you, and to talk about the importance of friendship and how to navigate it, even as adults, because we didn't really learn it in school, right?
Not at all.
No, we definitely didn't. I feel like we never really talked about it. Even in like childhood, your parents would tell you, of course, be nice to your friends, do unto others as you would have them do, that kind of thing. But we never really got into it.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the focus is always on romantic relationships as opposed to platonic. So when I found your page, I was just in awe. I'm like, wow, somebody is really taking friendship seriously enough to make this what she, her living, what she does.
Yeah.
That's just amazing to me. So before we get into our questions, we did a fun little quiz, you and I, Tyler, because I really am obsessed with Insecure, the show.
Oh my gosh.
Really obsessed with it. Hate that it went off the air.
I know.
So we did a quiz to see which Insecure character we were. All right. So I ended up getting Issa right, or Issa. And it says, if you got Issa, you are a creative and independent thinker who has a quirky sense of humor. You value your close relationships and have a passion for making a difference in the world. You may sometimes feel insecure about your place in the world, but you have a strong sense of self that guides you through life's challenges. So I was really glad to get Issa, because I loved her character on the show. But Tyler, what did you end up getting?
I got Issa as well.
Okay.
Which is why we get along so well.
Yeah.
We do get along well.
Issa has just always been trying to navigate her way through life and friendships. And, at the end of the season, being able to see kind of like her relationship with her friend being up in the air. I've definitely experienced that, before. But Issa, she just does what she needs to do. And, she's supportive.
Yeah.
But she's sometimes kind of just like, la, 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 la.
In her own world.
Yeah.
Now, did you ever get a chance to watch the show at all?
So, fun fact.
Okay.
I literally was watching the show earlier today.
Where are you?
Literally woke up, I was like, I want to start from the top because I wanted to watch the show, and literally was sitting down watching the show.
Oh my
So I'm like,
God.
this is the vibe.
Come on, God just be speaking to you. He just be speaking to you.
Yes, I'm like, come on, Jesus. Okay.
So what character do you think you would
I'm
be?
Issa.
Okay.
I think I'm an Issa. I love how she is like straightforward and blunt, even behind closed doors or with her friends, or with her feelings. And she's not afraid to express herself in the moment. Looking in the mirror, having those two-sided conversations with herself. It was always a thing, wanting to show up as herself, wanting to be like this creative. Like, I absolutely love that about her. And I think that reminds me of myself, just being that creative.
Why you think nobody wants to be Molly? Like, you hear nobody say,
what
like,
is it about Molly? Like, because just speaking more about their friendship, because I want you to dissect their friendship for us. But Molly kind of got the bad rap, I think, throughout the whole season, even though when you go back and look at the episode, sometimes you're like, ooh, Issa, you kind of was tripping a little bit too. But I think, I will say, I think Issa made more of an effort to kind of try to resolve the issues that they were having.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the Molly Issa friendship?
So I didn't see all the episodes for Insecure, but from the few episodes that I did see, I feel like Molly just internalized a lot of things that happened in the friendship. She took a lot of things personal. And sometimes, even if we come up with something in a, like, let's say we have a joke or whatever, and we say something to our friends, that isn't necessarily to categorize them.
Right.
But we made a joke just to lighten the moment. They take it personally, and let's say we take that joke and we create something else with it. Now they think that we're related to what you created. And I think that happened with Molly on the show, where she felt like, you know, the whole broken thing.
The broken key. The broken punani.
So it's like, wait, you talk about me? No, it's like I made a joke about it because it was something I had been researching on. And in the moment, I wanted to make you happy.
Yeah.
But I also needed that same bag in another moment in my life to kind of like shine. And I used it not necessarily because I wanted to make you feel some type of way. No one knew about that but us. That was between us. So if you took it personal and felt like you were embarrassed, it was a different level of insecurity. Yeah. And I do agree that Issa Rae would like literally initiate the apologies, initiate the conversations, and be very straightforward with that. And it's good to have friends like that because communication is so important to me. And if you can't have communication in a friendship, it won't last. That's what's going to make us get through all the hurdles.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And when we talk about friendship breakups, which we're about to get into in a minute, I feel like, to your point, communication is key. Because a lot of times we can be thinking things that aren't really happening. We can be projecting. We can be coming up with our own narratives and scenarios in our head. And that's not really actually what's going on. Exactly. And if we just would have got on a phone call or got on a text, thread or a Zoom call or whatever and just had the conversation, then we wouldn't actually be experiencing what we're experiencing. Exactly. So, I'm going to let y'all know my thoughts as I go back and watch Insecure, and I'm going to make sure that I still have the same opinion of Issa and the Molly situation, but I feel like I'm still going to come out with the same thoughts on that. So let's get into a quick game of this or that, friendship edition. All right? So for this game, we are going to be talking about what you rather do in your friendships, okay? Okay. So the first question we have is girls' night in or girls' night out?
Oh, I like a girls' night out.
We outside, y'all. Ooh.
We outside, yes, outside.
Okay. What about you, Tyler?
I'm a girls' night in.
Are you?
I want to be inside where it's safe and snacks and movies and chit chat. Outside, it's just so many things that could go wrong.
There's so many things that could happen. You're right. Especially when you boot up. All right. Next up. Martinis or mimosas. Now, I know you're on your dry January right now, but martinis or mimosas?
I'll do martinis all day.
Okay.
Yes, I'll do that. The champagne is just...
you.
Yeah, who are you?
The champagne is too Drake-ish for me, it's too Drake-ish for me. No, champagne really messes me up, so I know to stay away from that. So I'll do like a, what is it, Bellini?
Bellini. Yeah.
I'll do that. I don't mind a Bellini, but the mimosas they'll be a little too strong for me. Really? And it's crazy, I could drink any other type of liquor and be fine, but that champagne...
So mimosas are that drink that just kind of mess you up on the low? Like, if you just...
What's this?
If you have like one too many, it's a wrap for you.
Yeah.
But I love mimosas.
They're good.
So,
they are good.
Yeah.
They taste good. I just know what it does to me, so wisdom.
Wisdom. So. There you go. There you go. So... do you want to do a day party or do you want to go clubbing at night?
Oh, we day partying all day, baby.
Give me a day party. Give me a day party so we can hit up a day party together.
Good.
Okay.
We can do day parties.
But she's going to be drinking the martinis and we're going to be drinking the mimosas.
Yes.
Okay.
With
all right.
Splash of OJ.
There you go. Spa day or shopping day?
Oh, my God. That's a tough one. Now, let me let y'all know, I could do both of everything.
I can run it up either way.
But if I had to choose, I would do spa day. Like, I love
Me
to be
too.
pampered. I'm doing spa days.
It's giving spa for me as well.
Yeah.
What about
Same.
you?
Shopping I like to do by myself. You know, I want to be in
Me
the mood.
too.
I
agree with that.
Give me some Auntie Anne's and some coffee. you
Yeah.
know, that
Y'all don't
shit.
want nobody rushing me.
Me
Yeah.
neither.
Okay. So would you rather do a text or a phone call
Ooh.
with your friends?
Okay. So, because I'm the friendship enthusiast, I have a different
Politically
way, 'cause
correct answer?
Yes, I look at things differently. I look at the moment. Does this require a call? Does this require texting? I think we need to be balanced in that way. I have friends who just don't like texting at all, and I think it's not cool sometimes, but I love them either way. But the people who benefit the most out of most friendships are the ones who can balance the communication styles amongst their friends. You got
Agreed.
people who love reels. They love to, they like voice notes. I'm a voice noter, but everybody can't listen to
Same.
my 30, 15 minutes.
Oh my
Mini
gosh.
podcast.
Y'all would be my nightmares, but if you were my friends, I would just have to listen. Like, I have friends that send me voice notes and I'm like, oh my God, let me schedule a time to listen to this voice note.
Not
But-
schedule a
But
time.
then I also have friends that want to FaceTime me all the time.
yeah, that too.
And I cannot stand FaceTime.
Yeah.
But because I love them, I'm like, hey girl,
Yeah.
how you doing? But I think I prefer text. Yeah, I'm not even
Yeah.
like a phone.
Yeah, I'm more of a
person.
text person too.
Yeah.
But I'll pick up the phone if I have to. I
Yeah.
will.
Yeah, me
I
too.
will.
So one best friend or large group of friends?
So I have two best friends, and I think
Okay.
that's enough. I've had large groups of friends, and I do know a lot of people. You know, I do have a lot of friends. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. Y'all know it comes with the territory of what I do.
Yes.
But I learned too, even when I was transitioning into starting Pure Friendships, I had one birthday where I had like 35 friends at the table.
Wow.
And the following year after I started Pure Friendships, I had two. Simply because things happen and people can't adjust to how you've transitioned your life and you
Yeah.
started moving towards purpose. It was just a shocker. Nobody understood it. No one knew what I was doing. They're like, what's a friendship coach? What is this? Friend? Okay.
So
all right,
do you
cool.
think people started to get offended that you were calling yourself a friendship enthusiast?
Probably. It's not far-fetched though, because I've plenty of people came up to me as like, this is you. You were born for this. But I think internalizing is like, okay, well, we were friends with her too. Like, why, why can't we be a part of this? And it's not that I excluded anyone. It's just a lot of times people can't see you take ownership of what you're called to. And that was a huge wake-up call for me. So quantity wasn't always a big issue, but I realized that quantity isn't all that. And once you have those core people, your inner circle, that's what's most important.
Yeah.
So 2 best friends for me is enough. 2 best friends. I can have a few close friends. I can have tons of acquaintances and casual friends. I absolutely love them because they play a certain role in my life.
Yeah.
And that's that.
Well, I have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
So you said you have 2 best friends.
Yes.
Right? So you believe that you can have multiple best friends. Because I know a lot of people who are like,
I used to
like,
have 5.
Woo!
Yeah, the 5 was part of the
That's a lot
30,
of work.
part of the 35 that's no longer here. But
Okay.
I used to have 5 best friends, and it worked out. I had individual relationships with everyone, and they were my best friends. These are the 5 people that I would call. These were the 5 people I traveled with. I went through spiritual growth with, a whole bunch of stuff.
I love that.
Mhm.
I love that.
Yeah.
Being
Just
able
to clarify.
It's
to have a
doable.
nice group chat where you wake up and you do brunch and you go on the group, go on the group trips and stuff like that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I think for me, same, 1 or 2 best friends, I think is good enough for me, especially at this age. Pushing 40, it's like, how many friends can you actually juggle at this point?
It's like a relationship.
Right.
No, it's a lot.
a lot of work.
a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Planned events or spontaneous events?
Spontaneous.
Really?
Spontaneous me.
I gotta plan it.
Oh.
I gotta plan it.
I'm like, please.
Please have it
Listen.
planned.
Where, when, what am I wearing? Come on.
Mhm. So you're
I'm
spontaneous.
spontaneous, yeah. Wake me up, let me know. Okay, we doing something today. Okay, cool.
I love that.
Yeah, that's me.
But
all
everybody
the way.
needs a spontaneous friend. Everybody needs a friend because every once in a while, even for me, like I'll just wake up and be like, okay, I ain't doing nothing today. I want to go to brunch. And there's always a friend that's like, okay, girl, I'm there.
Yeah, you need that one person. Like when you're like, you know what, I'm not feeling it today. Let's go out for a drink.
Yep.
Like you need that person who can literally get up, hop, and go. And I'm that girl. Yeah.
So the last question is about a movie. 2 movies.
Oh, hopefully I saw them.
Waiting to Excel
Okay.
or Girls Trip.
Girls Trip. Girls Trip.
Girls Trip.
Yes, because I feel like it was more. There's more liberation in that movie. I know maybe the liberal in me.
Yes.
I think it's very important for us as friends to see all sides of our friends, especially the free side. And how are you outside and in the wild? What does that look like? Because that really depicts our inner selves and how, we are with other people towards other people. I think like Waiting to Excel was more of a like, okay, this is what I'm going through. It can easily turn into trauma bonds. It can easily turn into like, oh, let's just discuss all the bad things that are going on in my relationship. And you're celebrating or, just sighing over relationships. And I'm tired of those girlfriend moments. I want the, hey girl, we outside, we celebrating us. We're going to go have a good time. We're celebrating the friendship. We're celebrating your career. Like, let's do those type of things. Cause
it's crazy because I just watched Waiting to Excel again and I fell in love all over again. And I understand what you're saying.
I need to watch it again.
One of the things I loved about it was once they got down in the dumps with Bernadine after her divorce, they had that house party and they were drinking champagne and they were but then the movie transitioned into them getting up and dancing and singing and laughing. And I thought to myself, man, that's such a real moment because you could be with your girls one minute, y'all crying y'all eyes out.
That too.
And the next minute, y'all taking shots and
turned up,
loving on each other and like, you know what? You don't need him. Let's go, get our money up. So I think I would choose Waiting to Exhale just because I feel like it's just so nostalgic and I just love that movie.
Yeah, it's a good one.
What about you?
A good one. I would say Girls Trip. But I know that there is so much you can learn from your friends on a trip. So much good
many things.
and bad.
And bad.
So
let's not talk about those Miami trips.
Like,
Girl, scandalous. All right, so let's get into the friendship breakups, leaving friends behind in the new year. So, do you want to talk about the Sky Jackson? You have that clip?
Yeah. So Sky Jackson just kind of broke down her feelings on having to leave a lot of friends.
Something you left behind in 2023?
A lot of my friends. They had to go.
Any specific reason?
They just were bad energy. New year, you gotta level up. And if they're not ready to level up, you can't bring them with you. So, I don't know.
What are your thoughts on that?
So that's a really good clip. One of the things I've learned through friendship coaching and just dealing with the whole friendship scenario in general is that a breakup is going to happen whether or not you want it to. Now, the breakup is a version of ourselves.
Ooh, tell me more.
Yes. So there's every step of the friendship, depending on where the friendship is supposed to take you, the breakup is going to happen. Meaning there's going to come a point where you guys are going to have to break up with the old version of yourselves. That's why I always tell people, become a friend with yourself first before you can be a friend to somebody else. Because what's going to end up happening is you're going to have to break up with versions of yourself that you no longer are to walk into the next season. Your friends are going to break up with who they used to be. Ooh. If you don't break up with who you used to be to yourself, you might miss out on some of the friendships that are moving forward and growing. So I do believe that's what ends up happening, whether you're going to break up with me as a friend or we're just going to both break up with this old version of ourselves and we're going to go for the best versions of ourselves.
I love that.
It's a continuous thing. I wake up every day and I'm going to make a decision to become a better friend to not just the people around me, but to myself. Yeah. Because if someone decides to leave because they want to personally grow, it's because you're not deciding the same decision.
Wow.
Accountability across the board.
Yeah.
Okay. That hit home.
Yeah.
That hit home. So, have you ever experienced a friendship breakup?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay.
Too many. Too many, but they're blessings for me now, you know, because I now look at, you know, breakups differently. I look at it from an introspective point of view, like what could I have learned and what did I do wrong in that friendship that caused us to break up? And sometimes I don't just blame myself. Sometimes I realize that it was them and it wasn't me,
Yeah.
but I don't blame them for that, because if I had to move forward and I had to move on, it's because they weren't willing to break up with that version of themselves. So then I had to break up with them.
That's tough. I
Yeah,
think
and
I'm
it's
triggered,
tough.
so I'm going to pass it to Tyler. What about you?
We were just talking about this, just having friendship breakups when there's people pleasing involved, and you feel like you're constantly like avoiding conflict, and you're just like whatever you want, whatever you need, and then you get to that point where you have the conversation like, I can't keep doing these things, you know, like it's not helping me, it's not helping you, it's not helping our friendship, but also being scared and worried that if you do communicate, you're gonna lose that friend. And eventually, you know, and for me, unfortunately, it has happened multiple times. And so I guess my question for you would be, how do you even approach that conversation, especially when you've had it before, right? Because there's multiple times you're like, look, I don't like this, they keep doing it. I don't like this, they keep doing it. When is it enough?
Yeah, like how do you know it's time to break up?
Yeah, when it's enough. When you realize that this person is not latching on to what I'm telling them. Like, as long as you have communicated several times and you've had the conversation with them and they've taken note and they said, oh, I'm going to do better, I'm going to do better. Okay, I hear you. There's really no other conversation to be had after a certain point in time. I think we try so hard to hold on to people that it ends up going bad anyway, and actually ends up being worse, you know? So what I would do in situations like that, where I've already explained myself, we've already had the conversation, we've had the round table talks, we had the FaceTime, like, let's talk
Not a
about
round
this.
table.
Yeah.
But who's at the red table? And you still ain't act right.
You still, like, we talked about this. So it's like, I no longer need closure. I no longer need to, you know, explain this anymore, because you're an adult. We've decided that we were going to be a part of this friendship together. And it's mutual effort for you to pay attention to what you're doing, you know? And if I continue to say the same thing over and over, now I become the controller. Now I become the friend that nags all the time.
Exactly.
Now I carry this bad energy.
Oh my God.
You know?
That right there, the nagging. Oh,
Because you have to keep, because you feel, it feels like you're nagging because you have to keep bringing up the conflict.
Yes.
Because they keep avoiding the conflict. And I had that happen in a friendship recently where, and we're broken up now, but I was the one that was trying to initiate the communication and the conversation. And she just flat out refused to talk. Like, she refused to have the conversation. So at that point, I was like, listen, I told her, I was like, I'm not going to keep chasing behind you. No. I don't know why you think I need to chase after you to talk to you about a conflict that we are both having in this relationship, but I'm not about to do it anymore. No. And so the friendship ended, but I was taken aback. Can you tell me why you think someone would do that? Like, why would someone just decide, hey, I'm not going to have this conversation at all?
Some people don't like to be wrong, and they're not vulnerable enough to face the facts of what's going on. So they don't like confrontation. That's pretty much what happened to my friend. So when they didn't show up for me the following year, after that birthday dinner, a few things happened they didn't show up to. I confronted them because I'm the type of person that's like, okay, we got to talk about this.
Yeah.
You know, you my friend. I should be able to come to you and talk to you about anything that's on my mind. And some people were just like flat out no. I would ask, like, can we have a conversation? They're like, no. Yeah.
I just think that's so strange.
Yeah.
that's a non-negotiable for me.
Yeah, I was like, no. And that was the last conversation we had. And I had to accept that. Because if you're not ready to have that conversation and you don't have the capacity for it, I can't force you. And it just means that I have to move on. It means that we're done here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It hurts. It hurts when you've been friends with someone for so long and they just flat out say, no, I don't want to talk to you. I'm not going to talk to you. And kind of make a villain out of you, make you the enemy.
Yeah.
That's just, it really does suck. So we already talked about what are some, how do we know when to break up? But what are some signs that your friendship is on the verge of breaking up?
Non-communication, avoiding, when they don't celebrate you. Let's say you have like a small win or something happens and they don't acknowledge the things that are happening in your life.
Yeah.
Those are signs. When they stop doing the things they used to do. If you had a friend that used to text you at a particular time of day, or they would send you certain type of messages, or they would send you memes, or whatever like love language that you had and you shared with that friend, the minute that you see that start to shift or they get quiet, that's a huge sign that things are shifting. That silence is like loud. It speaks so loud.
Wow.
I want to ask you another quick question because you brought up something earlier about birthdays, right? About people going to your birthdays. Now, as we know, birthdays is not a game when it comes to friendships, okay?
These birthdays are tearing apart. Homes, happy homes.
It's not a game, right? You didn't come to my birthday dinner. That means you hate me. We're not friends. We're done, right? What do you feel about the expectations around birthdays in general?
I feel like a lot of people don't know their friends for real. You don't know your friends enough to know whether or not they're going to be able to make it, and I think capacity is everything. I know my friends who got it and I know my friends who don't. And it becomes a problem when I know you have the capacity to be there and to show up and to do things and you don't, as opposed to the ones who really don't have it. So if you don't show up to my birthday dinner, because, okay, let's say you're a businesswoman or you're married or you have kids or so many things going on. I understand that.
Yeah.
So you may not be able to come to my birthday dinner.
Right.
And I can understand that because guess what? That type of friend who has all that stuff going on will make time for you. So they'll find another day to celebrate you on your birthday. Hey, I won't be able to make it to the dinner, but what you're doing on this day, I want to take you out. It's our day.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
That's different.
Yeah.
But if you just straight up not show up and you have the capacity to, you're showing me something, Or if you're the friend who you don't have the money for the 4 or 5 star restaurant, you don't have the time, or you're going through a divorce, or you're going through a mental health issue because you're depressed in this season. I have to understand that. I know my friend, and I'm going to be there for you. There was a clip, since we was talking about insecure earlier in the beginning, where it was her birthday, but she's consoling her friend on her birthday. That's what friends are for. She understood her friend. And I think the minute we know who we have in our circle for real, we won't take it so personal as to who shows up.
I love that, knowing your friend. So that happened to me with a friend of mine. We were really close since college, and I didn't make it to one of her birthday dinners. And this was like a year after my father had passed away. And a year had gone by, but I was still so like drained and emotionally out of it. And that day was just different for me. Like I just couldn't get out the bed that day. And I text her and I let her know like, hey sis, I just can't get out the bed. I'm not feeling great. Let's get together soon. Happy birthday. And, I'll make it up to you. So I ended up sending like flowers to her house and balloons and a gift and things like that. But I still don't think it sufficed in her mind. And shortly after, we just stopped. We ceased communication. Like she stopped talking to me. And when I texted her that day, she kind of was like short with me, like, yeah, okay. You can't make it. All right, that's fine. Kind of thing. But I say all that to say, I think knowing your friend is so important. I like that point because I had never missed any of her birthday events ever prior to that.
Exactly.
Like for decades. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we have been friends for a long time. And so the one time that I didn't make her birthday, it was like the end of the world for our friendship. So knowing your friend is very, very important.
So important.
So let's get into some of these listener questions. We have a friendship expert in the building. So we want to make sure that we get all of the information we can. So one of our listeners from San Diego says, how can we continue to pour into each other's cups to ensure that we get what we need out of our friendships?
Oh, that's a good question. I think deciphering the seasons that all of your friends are in is important. Like discernment is so important in friendship. Not only do you have to know your friends, but you also have to be able to discern what season they're in. So what I needed last year, you might have been able to give that to me.
Yeah.
Next year, I might need something completely different. For instance, I'm on my health journey now. And, my friends are there for me in this season. They're like fasting with me. They're juicing with me.
I love that.
They're, chiming in. They're like, I can't do the whole 90, but I might do, 20 here and there. I'll come in and I'll work out with you, those type of things. That's what I need in this season. I need that type of support. But once you realize like what your friends need in a particular season, you can decide on how to pour. And it may not be your season to pour. We got to be okay with that. For all the givers out there,
Ooh.
all the givers, you got the givers friends that keep giving and giving and giving. You cannot give to the point where you're depleted. You have to know when it's time to receive as well. So in some seasons, you're going to receive and you're going to allow your friend to pour into you. And in other seasons, you're going to pour into them. You just don't know when you're going to need each other. And I think that's what makes friendships so beautiful, because the minute that you thought that you needed them, the next minute they need you. And that's what makes it so beautiful. I've had moments where I call them back burner friends. Or they're like people that I may not speak to every day. I may not see them every day, but we have a good enough bond that when we do speak, it's magical.
Yeah.
And then they'll just pop up in one of my seasons and be like, I'm going to support you here. I'm going to be here for you in this moment while you're going through this breakup. When I lost 35 of those friends at that birthday dinner, and the next year I had only 2, I had a back burner friend that came out of nowhere that was supportive, that consoled me through that season. It's because she saw an opportunity to pour.
Yeah.
Look for the opportunities. Look for the gaps. Okay, can I help her here? She needs some administrative help. Maybe she needs to be a little bit more disciplined. Maybe she needs words of affirmation in the season more than ever. Maybe she needs a hug. Some people just need a hug, y'all.
Wow.
Or a listening ear. Can you read your friends and see what they need? And that's what keeps the friendship going, and that's what keeps the ship sailing.
That's great advice.
Ask the next question.
Next question. So this has to do with friend breakups that we just talked about. She said, I recently broke up with a friend and I'm having a lot of difficulty with it. I miss our meetups, our text conversations, and all the fun we had, but I know things ending was for the best.
Yeah.
How do I move on and properly mourn this dead friendship?
So good. I love this question because I have this thing that I teach my clients when it comes to grieving friendships, because we grieve friendships, right? We think that, just losing people in general, like real life, is the only form of grieving, but you can't grieve someone who's still alive.
Yes.
Right.
Oh my God.
And
sometimes it's worse. Because they're still walking around and you still see them on Instagram. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. So grieve them for real. I have 3 G's: grieve, growth, and get rid of it. Right? So you're going to grieve for real. Instead of getting out of the friendship and being like, oh, they weren't really my friend. We love to tell ourselves that, oh, that wasn't really my friend. Or they ain't my friend no more.
Gaslighting yourself.
Yeah, your whole self. Don't do that. Grieve the friendship. Recognize what you loved about the friendship. Recognize what it brought to your life. Recognize what you felt like you lost. Have that whole process of grieving. I had to learn how to properly grieve the friendships I lost for the past 5 years. And then I grew. And the growth comes from picking out the lessons. Realizing, you know what? I did this in that friendship. I'm not going to do that in my next friendship. Or I'm not going to allow this to happen. I'm not going to be as patient or give too much grace in this area because I know that can burn me. Learning yourself, friendship becomes an opportunity to sharpen you and show you yourself in the mirror. Because when it ended, you're like, okay, this person did this to me, but I allowed them to do it. Where are my boundaries?
Wow.
Where did I stop and okay, evaluate the situation? What can I do different? And the thing is, we do this in romantic relationships.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, I ain't gonna have, my next man ain't gonna be like this.
He ain't finna be broke this time around.
Yeah, and I ain't finna do this, and I'm not finna. You set all these boundaries until you find the love of your life.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in friendship. What did you learn? Well, how can you grow? If you're that friend that just wasn't talking, wasn't communicating, how are you going to work on your communication skills in this season? If you had an attitude, how are you going to work on? Because they told you what was wrong.
Yeah.
We act like we ain't read the text. Go read the text.
Don't
What
read
they
the
told
text
you?
back.
Did they tell you
When
it was a
stuff
narcissist?
got real. When stuff got real. Oh.
Because it's in the details. Go read it. You know what I'm saying? And we try to ignore what people say about us because we have our own thoughts about people. So we try to blame everything on everyone else. But growth is really realizing what I could change. What do I have control of? And so in that season, you grieve, you grow, and then you get rid of it. You get rid of all the doubt. You get rid of what you thought you lost, because I truly believe that if you had a friend in one season, God has another friend for you in another season. And the more and more you hold on to those thoughts and you keep replaying the whole friendship in your mind, you're inhibiting yourself from meeting new people. Believe it or not, even if you do meet someone and you feel like you're still being a social person, you still got walls up.
Yeah, because now you're feeling like you have trust issues,
That's-
and
yeah.
am I really a good friend? And
Yeah.
is this going to happen again?
Yeah,
and those
and
kinds
people
of
have
things.
to walk on eggshells because of what you've been through.
Yeah.
And I'm the type of person, when I meet someone, I'm not going to try and prove to you
Yeah,
that
that
I'm
I
better
deserve
than
to-
everybody
yeah,
else. You don't
yeah.
need, no,
Be
no,
your
no, no.
friend.
I'm going to be myself.
Yeah.
And you have to trust that I'm going to be the best friend that I could be to you in the moment, you know? And that's why it's so important we go through that getting rid of it phase, because we want to allow and make the room and space for the new friends and new people that are coming, and not having them walk on eggshells because of what we've been through.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow.
I agree with that, and I think it's important to realize it's going to take time. It's not a light switch. It's not just like, oh, we're not my friend. You're just not my friend no more. Like, I'm gonna just go about life. There are gonna be some gaps, right? The routines you used to go through, they're gonna be different. So the same thing in a relationship, right? We start working out after it ends, and we start, you know, like,
Yeah.
you gotta do what you gotta do.
And speaking of like the grief process, because I did lose my father, but I also lost a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And so there were similarities. It was like, you know how you try to pick up the phone to call somebody who passed away? It's the
Yeah.
same thing with your friend that you lost. It's like, oh, I need to call. And it's like, I can't call her no more.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that feeling and just readjusting to the new normal
Yeah.
is something that you have to do. But I think, to your point, it does take a lot of self-reflection also. A lot of self-reflection and realizing how I showed up in the relationship, the things that I need to change. I think is a major part of it as well, because a lot of times we like to point the finger. Oh, she didn't do this, or she's the, you know, she. I like to tell people when we went in this relationship in particular, I said, look, it just ain't work out.
Yeah.
We weren't on the same page. And whatever that page is, you know, we'll find out later on down the line. But we just were not on the same page, period. And we're not at the same points in life right now. So, you know, it is what it is. Do you want to read some of the things you wrote down?
Okay.
Yeah, so you pretty much hit the nail on the head with a lot of it, but one that really helped me with my friendship breakups was reaching out for support.
Yes.
But I had to realize that this friend who I broke up with, right, they were like everything. Like, I was on the phone with them all the time. I can't do that to all of my other friends, right?
Yeah.
You know, same thing if you get out of a relationship with a man and you start calling your friends every 5 minutes, and now they're like, okay,
Girl.
like, before, you got to keep that in mind. But also, you know, like using that support system, using your friends, using your family, you know, because they're there for you, and also seeking help.
Yeah.
You know, therapy is
therapy's
also
important.
an option.
Yeah.
So like I said, you really hit the nail on the head, and I think it's just a part of life. You know, as you evolve through friendships and you evolve through friends, this is just something you're gonna hit.
Yeah.
And it's a part of life, and it's okay.
Yeah.
You'll meet new people.
And I think too, part of that, you know, self-awareness portion is, you know, meditating with yourself, praying. I know prayer helped me. And one thing that also helped is me praying for the people that I lost. And that's a good thing, because it puts you in a place of positivity and you wanting the best for them.
Yeah.
Like praying that the best comes their way. I think a lot of times when we break up with people, we typically would wish the worst. I hate it's gonna see me. No. Like, really, a way to get over that type of grief is praying for them, wishing them well, and thanking them for playing the part that they did play. Because they came into your life. There was, at some point, that was a good friend to you. You thought they were a good friend.
Real talk.
They were. So appreciate that moment that they gave you. Whatever it was, at that moment, they were there for you. They may not be on the same path with you now, and they had to jump ship, and that's fine. But appreciating them and praying that whatever journey they're on is better, you know, even for the next friends and the next people that they meet, you know, that they grow in that area. Because I'm pretty sure they learned from you too.
Yeah, I told the friend that I broke up with, I told her, I said, listen, I don't have anything malicious to say to you. I said, I'm praying for you. I said, and I'm going to continue to pray for you. I don't have anything else malicious to say to you.
Yeah.
Because we did get in like a back and forth at some point. And I was like, you know what? This isn't worth it. Like, I don't want to do this with you anymore. Like, I'm just praying for your peace and your healing. And I hope you're doing the same for me.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
But the question is now, right? You might have been friends with somebody for a decade. Everybody knows that you all hang out with each other.
Oh, honey.
Now people got questions.
What's your response? If somebody asks you what's going on with you and
That's great.
and so and so.
That's a
How do you
great
respond to that?
She's good.
question.
She's good. She's doing well. We're on different paths now, and it depends on who's asking, right? Like certain people that I just they knew us, they knew, so I might give them a little bit more detail. But for the most part, no backlashing online, no subliminals, no make, and the very most, maybe an unfollow, you know what I'm saying? And if it's toxic, block. But, most for me, I don't really block people, but for most, maybe an unfollow if it's just for my grieving process, because sometimes we do have to let go completely. But yeah, and let me tell you something. People be knowing. They be knowing. They see the shift and they see what's going on. They're just being nosy. Y'all just not friends anymore.
Yeah.
It's just not there.
It happens. All right. We can go on and on with this conversation because it's such a good conversation. But where can people find you if they want to learn more about how to be a real friend, a good friend, and be in pure friendship?
Yes. So you can follow me on Instagram, Pure Friendships, at Pure Friendships. On Facebook, I'm a little more wordy there because that's where all my readers are. So I'm a writer. I love to write. So you can find me on Facebook, The Friendship Enthusiast. And yeah.
All right, listeners. Well, thank you for tuning into our episode of the Friendly Black Girls podcast. Until next time, remember that being a good sister will keep you blessed, and having a good sister is a blessing.
Yes.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.